What if I told you that you've been playing Penny wrong this entire time? This video features the best tips and tricks to help you play the salty pirate Penny. Alright, so to start off this guy, let's go ahead and talk about Penny's main attack, Plunderbuss. Penny shoots a medium-sized pouch of gold. If it hits an opposing target, it sprays 3 additional clumps of golden coins behind the target in a cone formation that travels for 5.33 tiles. It'll end up piercing opponents and dealing 75% damage of the pouch for each clump of gold. With this, she can deal double or even triple the damage with her attack if she's attacking multiple targets. However, the pouch itself deals relatively low damage and she has a slow reload speed. Now, when using Penny's main attack, I recommend to people to always position yourself between yourself and the target so you can hit people standing behind your target. Move Penny at an angle where she can hit her target and then hit anybody that could be standing behind them. This will give you more value for your attacks, help you deal more damage, and help you charge up your super even faster. Now, I also recommend saving your ammo and not using all of it until you notice that all the enemies are grouped up together. You want to use up all of your ammo once you notice the enemies are standing near each other. This way you can increase your chances of getting more value per pouch of gold. It's good to punish the enemies for standing near each other with that juicy splash damage. Now, since you can deal that additional damage with the splash after your shots hit a target, that can actually be useful to force the enemies to separate from each other. Smarter players understand the concept of Penny splash damage, but lower skilled players don't get it yet. Force the enemies to stay away from each other, use the splash to keep the enemies away from each other, and this will force them to play more one-on-ones or make it harder to gain pressure on the map. Now, this is an underrated tip, but it's also very important, is that you don't waste your ammo with Penny because, like I said earlier, her reload speed is pretty slow. If you are pressured hard by tanks and assassins, Penny's damage output and reload speed is definitely not enough to take down most of those brawlers. You need to use your ammo wisely so you have a fighting chance against any aggro brawler. Now, even though Penny's damage output and her reload speed isn't really the greatest, something that is not bad about her is her new main attack range. Since Penny's range is now 8.67 tiles, keep your distance with her and use that main attack range to your advantage. Now that she has this longer attack range, she can put up more of a fight against the mid to longer range brawlers in the game. As I previously just said, her damage output isn't the greatest, so it's best that you stay farther away from the enemies when you can. Now, to counter Penny's mid attacks, it's fairly simple. All you need to do is just don't stack up and group up with your teammates. All you really need to do is just stay the hell away from your teammates. If you don't give Penny the opportunity to deal the extra damage with the coins, then you are already making it hard for Penny to deal more damage and charge her super. I just hope your teammates aren't brain dead enough and understand this concept too. But okay, that's gonna be it for Penny's main attack. Let's go to talk about her super, Old Lobber. Penny's super deploys a cannon with a high damage output and moderate health. This turret can be thrown anywhere over obstacles within a short distance from Penny. The turret is stationary and fires cannonballs that deal high damage in a 1.5 tile radius and leave an area 2 tiles in radius on fire over 3.9 seconds and dealing 22% of the cannonball's damage per second. The cannon's range is extremely large, however, it has a rather slow firing speed and the cannonballs have a slow travel speed. The travel time of the cannonballs doesn't decrease the closer the target is to the mortar. Now, as you can imagine, the fire from the cannonballs that the mortar is shooting out is going to be great for area control. The leftover fire from her cannonballs is very effective at restricting where an enemy is willing to go, often cutting off their escape route. This is valuable in game modes focused on controls such as gem grab and hot zone. The additional damage it deals is also effective against stationary targets such as safes. Now, with any type of spawnable, pet, or turret in the game, you want to be placing Penny's mortar in a very strategic spot. To maximize the lifespan of the cannon, one of the very optimal placements for it is behind walls on the player's side of the map. The turret's extremely long range allows to shoot cannonballs to the enemy side of the map from the safety of the player's side. This will keep it protected from enemy fire when it's hidden behind walls. Now, sometimes it's not good enough just to place it behind a wall. You still need to be protecting it with your life. You want to make it as difficult as possible for the enemies to take down your mortar. Close range brawlers' movements will be restricted by the walls when trying to take the turret down, causing them to be hit by its cannonballs. Now remember this tip because people still tend to forget this, but the cannonballs will always travel at the same speed no matter where you are on the map. The cannonballs from your super take the same amount of time to land regardless of how far the opponent is. Use this to your advantage by placing the cannon as far back on the map as possible. Might as well do this to make it even more difficult for the enemies to reach your mortar. Now what I personally love about Penny's mortar is that it forces the enemies to constantly keep moving around the map. You can use this to your advantage to predict your opponent's movement and shoot your attacks ahead of them in the direction they are moving. They will not be able to dodge the attack if it's aimed correctly, as by changing direction they'll be hit by the turret's cannonballs. Now you don't have to always use Penny's mortar offensively, even though that's probably best, but you can use it defensively to tank damage for you. Like Jesse, Penny's super can act as a meat shield in a pinch, absorbing enemy fire for a while and allowing herself or an ally to escape from a dangerous situation. However, it's less effective against opposing Pennies who can maximize their damage by hitting you and your cannon. Now to counter Penny's super, you want to be taking it down as soon as possible. The mortar is extremely annoying to deal with. I'm sure all of you out there can agree with me on that. It's even more irritating when the opposing Penny is cycling supers insanely fast and placing down a new one every time the current mortar is destroyed. Just take it down ASAP and try your best to not feed Penny. Now in order to counter the mortar's cannonballs, try and just move immediately whenever you see the mortar aiming its next attack. Always anticipate the mortar to fire at you even if it isn't. This way you are always on your toes and ready to dodge the cannonball just in case it aims towards you. By doing this tip, you will probably have a much easier time dodging the cannonballs. But okay, that's gonna be for Penny's super. Let's go and talk about her gadgets, but the first one I want to talk about is Trusty Spyglass. Upon activation, Penny's cannon rapidly blasts a cannonball at every visible target in its range. It can shoot a maximum of 17 targets, but neither the cannonballs nor the fire they leave can charge her super. Penny cannot use this gadget if her cannon is not active and must be within 14 tiles of its location. Now one of the best times to use this gadget is on top of stationary targets like the high safe. Since objects like the high safe can't avoid your mortar bombs, then that's the perfect opportunity to use your gadget. Even better if there are enemies near the high safe, then you might be able to deal damage onto them as well. Now another time you can use this gadget is when there are multiple enemies in the range of your mortar. You want to get the most out of your gadget every time you use it, right? Well, I recommend using your gadget when your mortar can fire at as much targets as possible. Even if all the cannonballs don't hit, just covering the map with fire and causing chaos, it's gonna be better than nothing. Now another time you can use this gadget is to fire at enemies camping behind walls trying to heal up. The good thing about the mortar is that it can hit enemies over walls, since obviously Penny can't. If you see that enemies are low and trying to run away or hide behind walls to heal up, then you can use this gadget to aim at them to get them down. It's a great way to surprise and throw off the enemy's timing, since they might not expect the cannon to fire at that moment. Now you can even use Trusty Spyglass when you want to prevent the enemies from maintaining control of the map. If you see the enemies are camping in mid or having full control of the map, then throwing down your mortar and popping this gadget could be a great way to gain some easy pressure. This will force the enemies to move and your team can push up at the same time for even more pressure. But okay, that's gonna be for Penny's first gadget. Let's go to talk about her second gadget, Salty Barrel. Penny places a barrel with 2240 health that blocks non-piercing attacks. The barrel also blocks Penny's attacks, causing her attack to spray out behind it, but will also deal 100 damage to the barrel this way. If Penny places another barrel while one exists, the first one will disappear. Now one of the best times you can use this gadget is in close range combat. Salty Barrel is incredible against tanks and assassins because it can deal high damage if you are close to the enemies. Since it acts as an obstacle that can be used for splash damage, then it makes it the perfect tool to counter any sort of short range brawler that tries to kill you. Now you can even use Salty Barrel to tank incoming damage to save your life. Of course, this gadget is good in short range combat, but it's also good to protect yourself from massive damage. Treat it like a temporary obstacle that can save your life, even though it only can tank about 2000 health. But hey, tanking some health is better than tanking nothing and having that damage inflicted onto you. you. Now to counter Salty Barrel, just make sure you're not attacking Penny at a point blank range. Since Penny is extremely dangerous when she can deal that splash damage at close ranges, you don't want to give Penny the opportunity to burst you down up close. So keep your distance, bait out Penny's gadgets, then you can press Penny when she has no ammo. But okay, that's gonna be for Penny's gadgets. Let's go to talk about her star powers, but the first one I want to talk about is Master Blaster. Whenever Penny drops her cannon, any enemy near the landing spot gets knocked back and takes 1,372 damage. Now as I just stated, this star power is going to be great to knock back nearby enemies. If being pressured by tanks and assassins, you can easily use your super right on top of your target and push them back. This can not only buy you time to run away and deal more damage with your main attack, but your mortar will also deal over 1,300 damage, so that can help you out even more. Now probably one of my personal favorite ways to use this star power is to defeat enemies that have less than 1,300 health. If for whatever reason somebody is trying to kill you at close ranges when they are super low on health, as long as they have less than 1,372 health, your mortar can kill them right there on the spot. It can catch them off guard and is great when you are out of ammo. Now a big mistake I see with amateur Penny players is that they don't save their super when they already have a mortar down. There is no point of putting down another super if your mortar is still up and running, right? Well, you should always have your super saved in your back pocket, ready to go, especially when using Master Blaster. You never know when you can benefit from the knockback and extra damage, and hey, it may save your life. Now I can't believe I need to say this, but do not only save your super for the knockback and the extra damage. It is good, don't get me wrong, to use your super defensively to protect yourself or offensively to get a kill thanks to this star power, but you should still be prioritizing getting your mortar down for area control. Penny after all is a controller and needs to have her mortar down as much as she can throughout the match. Now to counter Master Blaster, do not pressure Penny hard when she has her super charged. Since Penny is even more dangerous and versatile with this star power, you should not be rolling the dice and pursuing Penny at a point blank range. Once you know Penny is running Master Blaster, don't let her knock you back and deal the additional damage onto you, so just keep your distance. But okay, that's gonna be for Penny's first star power. Let's go to talk about her second star power, Heavy Coffers. This star power doubles the spread of the golden coins of the burst of every attack, as well as adding 2 more clumps, increasing its width and total damage. Now this star power is going to be great when you're facing mid to longer range brawlers. Since Master Blaster is great to do with close range brawlers such as tanks and assassins, then you can run Heavy Coffers against the mid to longer range brawlers. You wouldn't get the same amount of value out of Master Blaster against sharpshooters, right? So you might as well have a better chance of making use of Heavy Coffers in this scenario. Now I'd also recommend using Heavy Coffers when you're playing on game modes and maps where the enemies are more prone to grouping up together. If you're playing on game modes and maps where you know the enemies are going to be forced to stick together to maintain control, then you might benefit from running Heavy Coffers. It'll make facing Penny more irritating since her splash width and total damage will be increased from every splash. But I'll be 100% straight with you guys, this star power is not going to be better than Master Blaster. I wouldn't recommend this star power over Master Blaster because Heavy Coffers wouldn't help you like the other star power can in this aggressive meta. You need more defensive tools to help you stay alive against the top brawlers in the meta, and Master Blaster will help you achieve this. But okay, that's going to be it for Penny's star powers. Let's go to talk about our brand new Hypercharge new lobber. Penny's next super deploys a bigger cannon that fires 2 cannonballs instead of 1. She also gains a 26% speed boost, a 25% damage boost, as well as a 5% shield boost. Now let's be real here, this is the only reason why I'm making this guide is because she got a brand new Hypercharge. Now I'll be straight with you guys again, Penny was already pretty good ever since she got a buff to her main attack, but more importantly a buff to her main attack range, right? But getting a Hypercharge is truly the cherry on top and might be enough to take Penny to the very top. Now when you get your Hypercharge, you should use it immediately with your super, and genuinely you gotta protect it with your life. Penny needs to risk her life to keep that Hypercharge mortar alive because firing 2 cannonballs will help you maintain control that much easier. Since the Hypercharge is harder to get throughout the match, you just want to get the most amount of value out of each Hypercharge mortar. Now the build I recommend you guys use with Penny is running the Trusted Spyglass gadget. I would recommend using this gadget when you're playing in a game mode like Heist where you can use it onto after the heist safe, or when you're playing on a game mode like Hot Zone where you can hit multiple targets that are standing on the hot zone. But other than that, you should use Salty Barrel. Salty Barrel is good in this aggressive meta because you can pop down the gadget and just burst down enemies at a close range. Or you could of course use it as well to tank damage, so that there's that too. For the star power, you need to use Master Blaster. For the gears, the first one I'm gonna recommend is the Pet Power gear. Anything you can do to make that mortar more irritating, and now that she has the Hypercharge, oh my god, the mortar is gonna be even more broken. And for the second gear, it's kind of controversial. I would recommend Shield gear. Penny doesn't have a lot of health. She can easily benefit from getting the additional health from the Shield gear, but if not, you don't really have that much problem surviving, you can run the damage gear too. Well, anyway guys, if you guys enjoyed that brawler guide, I highly recommend you guys go check out this video right here.